Okay, so welcome to a voiceover of the finishing touches of the bathroom. So right here, all we're doing is trying to lay out where the lights are going to go for like when we actually start drilling in the holes for the recessed lighting. After we did that, we went and taped everything off, trying to get all the walls covered because what we're going to be doing next is all the knockdown, and we didn't want the spray and splatter to get onto the actual walls. Now I'm just plugging up some holes, making sure knockdown doesn't get where it doesn't need to be. It's kind of a viscous thing. You want to splatter like really loose pancake batter. And here's the thing about knockdown. If you spray knockdown and somebody else sprays knockdown, you're going to see the difference. So how you spray it, how fast you move it, and everything else shows up really well. Also, after you spray it, you have to scrape it. So if you're going to do knockdown, you do the whole thing. If you have somebody else come in and do it behind you, you're going to tell where you started it and they finished it. So this is why my buddy Dan is doing all the knockdown. He's done it before. He knows what he's doing. I'm just here to watch and learn. So that's just a giant, almost 2-foot plastic trowel. And it's just, again, knockdown. It's just knocking down the high spots. So he's done this. He knows what's going on. And here I am about to say something important. All right, so I'm washing the walls. I'm not sure if this is required, but since sanding them and getting all the high spots down, there's lots of dust on the wall. So I'm just simple little sponge, wiping everything down, just trying to get like all this, powder off. So I put my first coat of paint, nice clean wall to adhere to. This might be what you're supposed to do. I don't know. I'm not a painter. Painting is the thing I hate doing the most. I'm not trying to be outside pulling weeds in summer in a cornfield and fucking painting. All right. After the walls were wiped down, I just went over a quick coat with white just so I could see what I was working with. I knew the walls weren't perfect, but I figured if I put a base coat of white on there, I could see the big imperfections easier than trying to look at the plaster versus drywall versus the mud and trying to figure out what's what. So I just did a quick skim coat, just white over everything, just so I could see what I was working with. Then I had somebody come in and put the baseboards in, or the crown, because I don't do crown. And here we're just measuring out the holes. We took our measurements from beforehand, marked them. But once we did the knockdown, we covered up all the marks. Now we're just taking a giant hole saw with a little boot on it so it collects all the dust, and then cutting out all the holes for the lights. Installing the lights was really easy. Just 3 wires for this one. Yeah, you plug all the wires into the box, and then the box you see hanging right here. Then the light connects to that box, so you can disconnect and connect. And those little orange tabs actually pull into the drywall for the ceiling, so you don't need cross bracing or anything else. Just the hole in the ceiling will hold it up. And these are the shallow mounts, so if you had a stud right there, the light doesn't actually stick up further than the drywall. So even if you had a stud and you measured wrong, or you couldn't get one away from a stud for spacing, you can still put them in. So those were really nice to have. And here's Dan doing the same thing. Just connect it, put it in, move it, put it in. Triggers get all the stuff out of the way, and those tabs, they'll come back and snap on you. So when you're putting them in, make sure you get your fingers out of the way because they'll come back and bite you. So on the shub tower, the shub drain, we are finally finishing all the plumbing in this video as well. It was mostly done, but we didn't actually install all the rest of the shower. So now we're just clearing air from the lines and making sure everything for that is good to go. Because if we have a leak now, it's better to figure it out rather than continue everything else. Like we've already leak proofed it and everything else, but now it's just the last test before we start putting silicone and everything else.
If I go off of that, it looks like it's pretty damn close.
It just looks like it's at an angle. Like bad.
That doesn't look good. Down maybe a little bit. Like,
Yeah. You want to go with a smaller turkey though?
we're kind of committed there.
That's way off. That's definitely at an angle. That's better. Yeah. Yep.
Do it together. My balance is not great. Too long.
You knock that off there? Can you push the bottom one into them? No, the bottom hinge is like pushing out as I'm like trying to screw it in.
Why did they give you two?
That's a
One.
$1 million question.
One
Does
if
they
they're,
connect?
one if they're fast backwards, one for swinging left, and one for swinging right.
Probably.
Or they look the same to me. And these little tiny arms to tighten them up.
Oh, that was that little hole that was there for?
That's what I always use.
Alright. So I installed that thing's working on right here. You see there's an outlet on the other side. Now there's an outlet on this side. I thought I had enough room, so I installed a towel rack. But I installed the towel rack on the wrong wall because I thought I had enough room to clear everything. And here's me installing it on the wrong wall first. But when the door opened, I thought it was from the other side, not from this side. And when you open it, it actually bangs into this. And I didn't want the chance of this breaking or whatever. Plus, if you're in the shower and you want to reach for a towel, you don't want to reach across the door to reach to the towel rack that's so far away. So we moved this to the other side. So I just ran a new wire, put in a pop-out plug, and did everything pretty simple there. But installing it's the same on both walls. I just had to do it twice. And you just anchor it in, and then tighten it up with some unclips. Now here's a fancy toilet. So here we are test fitting it, make sure everything works, and then getting the O-ring, everything else done. That was all done before. I didn't show that. It's a toilet. It's whatever. Then tightening everything down and plugging it in, because you only had one shot for this because you couldn't really see the holes. So we did a bunch of measurements on the floor with some pencil that you can't see to make sure our center lines were there and our back and forths were there, because we really only had one shot for this. So luckily everything worked out fine. It flushes, open and closes by itself. It's mainly for the kids because they refuse to flush the toilet when they're done. So it's nice that it flushes automatically once they're done. What we have next is just going around the baseboards, finishing up some light trim work, because the same company that installed the crown did the baseboards. I suck at baseboards. This crown upside down backwards doesn't follow. I can't figure that out. So I had somebody come in and do it professionally because they made it look good. I just did a quick paint job again. I fixed all the first areas I had. Then I came in and did another layer over that, just covering up any holes. And I put paint everywhere, so that's why it's tape. Paper's on the floor, it's on the walls, it's on the top, because I suck at painting. So I want to make sure I got nothing where I wasn't supposed to get it. And you see how much paint I have on the paper there? Why? Because I am not good at painting. So one thing I did learn is pull the tape before the paint dries all the way, because if you wait till it fully dries, then you'll start chipping paint. If you saw my vanity build, you realize that we couldn't do this last row till the vanity was in, because we had to get the backsplash and everything else. So now the countertop's on, the backsplash is in, vanity's in. so we can go through and lay the last row of tile. So that's nice to have. You know, just back buttering everything. You know, putting some concrete on the wall. Then, you know, the spacer blocks. Pretty simple. Nothing too hard about that. Key here is just make sure everything lined up with the one above it. So to do the line above it, I actually had a board, you know, screwed to the wall, kind of so like the tile could rest against it. Then once the back are all set up and the tiles weren't going anywhere, I took that board off. Here, just finishing out some trim on the doors. We had that done. Dan's here filling in the grout for the backsplash. Nothing too terribly there. Tying up the rest of the plumbing. And, you know, it's the thing. If you want to watch plumbing videos. I don't do plumbing. Here I put in some corner round because I didn't like the way the corners looked. They were kind of choppy to me. So I just put in some corner round in those. Then I nailed them in, painted them, and they're fine. Finishing the last touches around the door because, well, we have to take all the door trim off to fit the vanity in because it was about 1 millimeter thinner than the width of that door max is. So all the door stops and everything else had to come off. Here I am doing the last bit of caulking on the backside of the job. There was caulk and everything else there earlier, but it didn't come out past the tile. So I just went with another bead of caulk. I probably did this 5 times because I put it on and I guess I wiped it all away, put it on, wiped it all away. So that's it. Then that's pretty much the vanity video. I mean, sorry, not the vanity video. That's pretty much just the last finishing touches. The only thing I have left to do is build a hamper. But I'm working on that. And then other than that, that's the video. Hopefully you like it. And if you like these voiceovers, let me know. If you want to see more of them, let me know. I don't know. Still trying to figure out how I want to start filming my videos. So if you have an idea of what you want to see, let me know. I'm all ears.